Hi everyone, this is Marie Blue Angel, and I am back with Love and Country. I am excited to get back into it because I left for like a weekish, and I left you and myself on a slight cliffhanger in terms of what is going to happen with Lillian and Emil. Are they going to find Herbert Denham? Probably. I mean, they have, but how will they get him out of Germany? Who knows? Also, what's gonna happen between the two of them? That's what I'm more concerned about after they get out of Germany with their lives. So, without further ado, let's just get into it because I would love to see what's happening next. Okay, that sounds loud. Okay, we're in the hotel room. I wake suddenly too hot. The room is still dark. My head is pounding and my mouth is like sandpaper. Ooh, do not like that feeling. This is not my bed or my room, and I'm not alone. My head is against a man's chest. My limbs are entangled with his. Panicked, I scramble to extricate myself, disturbing the sleep of my bedfellow. It's a moment before I register what's in front of me. The shock of messy black hair, a slight furrow to the brow, the low grumble as he rolls over. Emil. I'm not sure how to feel as the memories of last night come back to me. Before I have time to decide, however, a wave of nausea hits me. That's what happens after all that drinking. My goodness. I leap out of the bed and dash to the washroom. There's barely enough time to position myself over the toilet bowl before I start heaving. Once my body has emptied itself of last night's dinner, I go to rinse my mouth out with water. When I look in the mirror, there's a tired-looking woman staring back at me. Her hair is messy. There are dark circles under her eyes. Her complexion is dull. She's a mess. And that purplish mark on her neck. A love bite, no doubt. Last night. We shouldn't have gone to that second bar. Lillian, why? Okay, I understand why. Okay, she's probably gonna tell us, but are you sure? It was fun, I admit, but I'm paying the price now. I feel like death. Maybe a soak in the tub will do me some good. I start running the water. The water is soothing as I dip my fingers in to test the temperature before slipping off my chemise and stepping into the tub. A woman's undergarment, typically linen, cotton, or silk, worn directly against the skin underneath a corset. Yeah, otherwise that would not be comfortable to wear a corset, I would believe. It's already probably not as comfortable to wear it, but you would have to have something. I sink deep into the milky water and hold my breath, letting my eyeline hover on the water's surface. She's deep in thought. I did have a good time with Emil last night. He was playful and almost sweet. He laughed at my jokes. Not to mention our physical chemistry. He also let me be myself in a way that I hadn't experienced or haven't experienced in a long time. There were no concerns of being proper. I didn't have to have any secrets from him. And he said that he liked me. Did he mean that? The thought makes me squirm in spite of myself. I'm not even sure I heard him correctly. I'm pretty sure he likes you. He was half asleep, not to mention drunk. People say all kinds of things under the influence of alcohol. I dunk my head under water to wash, resurfacing moments later with a clearer mind. Even if Emil does like me, it doesn't mean anything. Someone like him probably has half a dozen women back in Paris. We're making assumptions, Lillian, but okay. Being involved with someone and being in love are not the same thing, according to him. I'd be a fool to be taken in by his flirting after he told me that. There's nothing to be excited about. I mean, can't we just talk to him? But, I can see her points, for sure. Okay, but I guess we'll see. As I rise from the tub, my head still pounds with my hangover, but I feel infinitely better than I did before the bath. A little coffee should make me a new woman. Stepping from the tub, I wrap myself in a fluffy towel. I love a fluffy towel. I squeeze the excess water from my hair, pat my skin dry, and put back on my chemise. When I venture back into our still darkened room, I see Emil has not risen from the spot where I left him. As much as I'd like to give him time to sleep off last night, we can't afford more delay. A strand of his hair flutters away from his nose as he continues to snooze, rather. I'll let him have 5 more minutes. That's 5 more minutes I can use to brace myself for what promises to be an awkward day. I dress myself, comb my hair into something presentable, then pick up the clothes strewn about the room and fold them into 2 neat piles. Emil still hasn't so much as stirred. He's a heavy sleeper. Letting a little light in may ease him back to the waking world without me having to say anything, so I pull the curtain away from the window. Ooh, I like the lighting in this room. The morning sun shines on Emil, causing his face to scrunch up. He growls as he rolls to his other side, pulling the bedsheets over his head. I sit on the other edge of the bed. Emil. Ooh, I like the outfit change of the character sprite. With a little, necklace here. Emil. I hear a small groan, but then nothing. He's leaving me no choice. I tug on the sheets, trying to force them from him. Emil, we have to get up. We have things to do. He's holding the sheets with an almighty grip. I can't wrench them away. I clamber onto the bed and attempt to shake him awake. Emil, it's nearly 10. The dining room will stop serving breakfast soon. You need coffee. Hey! Not the music. His head emerges from the sheets and he is staring daggers at me. He looks like hell. His hair is simultaneously plastered to his forehead and sticking up in odd places. There's a crease dented into his cheek from the pillow he was using. I almost laugh. Well, what the fuck do you want? Stop screeching. I nearly stumble backwards in surprise. All right, maybe I really didn't hear him correctly last night. Okay, I mean, I would totally think that too. Don't think he's a super big morning person, right off the bat. Especially probably after some hangover that he's having right now, but I would assume this too. He doesn't like me. He hates me. Emil swings his legs over the edge of the bed, planting his feet on the floor. He doesn't stand, though. Instead, he rests his chin in his palms, covering his face. This might be his hangover rearing its ugly head, but that doesn't make it okay for him to take it out on me. That is also true. I think I said that, but yes. I make my way from the bed to the armchair across the room and have a seat. Emil drags his hands down his face and stares bleary-eyed into the room. I watch him fumble for the nightstand until his fingers find his cigarettes. He lights one and puts his head back in his hands. After a few moments, his notice falls on me and he scowls. Why are you doing that? Doing what? Staring at me like that. I'm not staring. I'm just waiting for you so we can go down to the dining room together. Well, stop. It's pissing me off. My God. Oh, Emil. This room isn't that big, Emil. Where would you like me to wait? I love Lillian. Throw it back at him, girl. I don't care. Just not there. We need to plan our next move. Don't. What is it with you? Can't you stop rushing around like... Can't you stop rushing around for 5 minutes? Excuse me, Emil, we're on a mission? So rude. My God. Honestly, Lillian, I think the same thing. It's like, who the fuck? He does not like me. Do not talk to Lillian like that. His words are sharp like the lash of a whip, but I refuse to let him see me hurt. Instead, I waltz over to the table where my handbag, hat, and gloves lay. I feel Emil's eyes follow me. Where are you going? I finish tucking my gloves on and glance over my shoulder. This little bitch wants breakfast. Honestly, Lillian, you just go have your breakfast. See you.
I don't know why you're so shocked, Emil.
I head out into the corridor without waiting for a response. My heart pounds, exacerbating. Is that how I say this? My already throbbing head. What an absolute prick. What was I thinking? That we were friends? Lovers? A delusion.
We've all been deluded before, girl.
By the time I reach the dining room, I feel somewhat calmer. Ooh, I like the dining room look. The brisk walk through the hotel burned away some of my fury. Still, the only thing that will help erase my stormy mood, is a healthy dose of caffeine. The smell of coffee wafting through the doorway is like a siren song. I'm seated and order almost immediately, desperate to replace whatever I expelled this morning. Sitting in solitude at the breakfast table allows me more time to chew on the miserable events of the last 24 hours. Emil and I made it to Little Rock. Barely. We got across the border. Barely. We located Herbert Denham. Barely. Barely can't be the stamp I put on this mission. My first one ever. I normally never do things halfway. Either it's done or it's not. No in between. I normally never do... Oh, they repeated. Okay. As I stare down my lap, the image of Emil's sleepy blue eyes floats before me. I wring my hands together, hating myself for still thinking of him with any fondness. Emil is rude, thoughtless, and unfocused. Moreover, he's in the way of my goals.
This is so funny to me, but I feel that. I feel this.
And yet, it's hard to deny our attraction to each other. It's stupid. I'll never become anything more than a pretty thing Margot throws at unsuspecting men if I don't take things seriously. And Emil seemingly has very little riding on this mission, whatever Margot might have said. His behavior this morning was a perfect reminder. The best thing to do is to keep my feelings, any feelings, at bay when it comes to him.
This is what's gonna drag it out for these two. Okay, let's see what happens.
Simple and uncomplicated. Otherwise, no, I won't entertain an otherwise. The waiter comes with a pot of coffee and the rest of my breakfast, which I accept as a grateful diversion from my thoughts. It's all traditionally German, full of bread rolls, jams, cheeses, and salami. I pour the cream into my coffee cup and take a long sip. The liquid coats my dry throat, warms my chest. I sigh with satisfaction. I then tuck into my food without hesitation. As I'm eating, I allow my gaze to scan the dining room. It's rather sparsely populated, not surprising as most of the hotel's patrons are either ill or convalescing. They no doubt take their meals in their rooms. My eyes land on the front page of a German paper the gentleman 2 tables down from me has his nose in. New successful airship attacks on England. Over the course of the war, the German Navy Aviation Department and Imperial German Flying Corps mounted over 50 aerial bombing attacks against the British. Okay, good context for this. It's a frightening thought that death could fall from the sky at any minute. This is part of the reality of modern warfare. My thoughts are interrupted by the sudden rattling of dishes at my table.
Okay, so you cleaned up, sir. You're gonna say something?
I whip my head in the direction of the commotion, only to find Emil, dressed and cleaned up, slumped across from me. He's in his suit again, hair combed and collar on. Looking at him now, you'd be surprised how disheveled he started the morning. However, he immediately ruins the image by laying his head on the table, rattling the dishes once more. I merely lift my brows and silently continue spreading the blackcurrant jam onto my toast. Ooh, I would love a blackcurrant jam. I want some jam. I should go buy some jam. Why does he look so like, oh my god, Lillian didn't do a thing? After a minute, he looks up with a confused look on his face, like he was expecting me to chide him. Emil looks longingly at my coffee before turning his attention to me. You just want coffee. Are you going to pass that to me? I push the pot towards him. I wanted it all for myself, but I'm done fighting with him. He pours himself a cup, takes a sip, and exhales like he's been holding a breath. I watch him pour himself a cup as I take a bite of my toast. He takes a sip and exhales like he's been holding his breath. He looks at me expectantly, but I have nothing to say to him. Emil furrows his brow. You're angry with me. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Why should I be angry? I wasn't very nice when I woke up. No, you weren't. Yeah, so. So, you're obviously hungover. Yes. I gesture in front of me as if to say, well, there you have it. I try my best not to catch his eyes as I crack a spoon of my hard-boiled egg. We really shouldn't have had so much last night. I know. I thought heal evil with evil, but that was a mistake. Do they say that in English? Soignez le mal par le mal. Do we? I guess that was the equivalent of what we would say, heal the evil with evil. I mean, I don't think it's not something I hear commonly. We say the hair of the dog that bit you. Same idea. That's strange. In any case, let's not drink anymore today. Yeah, you better not. I laugh at the absurdity of the suggestion. Why would we drink today? We have work to do. Right. Well, I'm sorry. Okay, good. You better be saying sorry. Lillian, it was bothering you. So bare minimum for him to apologize, but this is good. This is good for their working relationship. I have no idea for the rest of it, but you know, it can't hurt. It wasn't really bothering me. It would have if our relationship were to last for more than this mission. It won't. That much is clear to me now. All the same, I'm glad he realizes that he shouldn't throw tantrums like that. But apology accepted. Emil drums his fingers on his coffee cup, staring at the rippling black liquid inside. I clear my throat. You should probably put something in your stomach. Can't just run on coffee and booze. I don't run on coffee and booze. I also rely on cigarettes, of course. You are the picture of health. Here, have a roll. I might have to have toast after this. This is making me want to have, like, some toast. I push the bread basket towards him. After an inspection, he reluctantly takes a piece of bread and starts gnawing. So, how are we going to get close to Mr. Denham? We never did come up with a plan, did we? I wouldn't have put so much stock in our planning abilities last night. I think that nurse we saw with him will be a problem. Yes, or anyone else with this reason to stick by Denham's side. Any one of them could be spying on him. If we say we are a family, we will have a good reason to stick close to him as well. I pull out Denham's picture from my purse and study it. This looks like an old photograph. It's probably from 15 years ago, judging by the clothes. He looks to be the same age as my parents. Emil plucks the photo from my hands and holds it up to compare it to me. Yeah, but no one would mistake him for your father. There's no resemblance. Uncle and niece, then? Emil considers the suggestion. That works. So, we'll go up to his room and you can demand entry, as family. Right, and then we'll just make an excuse to send the nurse or whoever else away. Emil frowns. What? I don't think we should send anyone away. That just gives them the chance to report back and raise the alarm, no? Oh, good point. I have to admit, it was helpful having someone to brainstorm with. We'll have to find a way to take care of them. I freeze mid-bite, eyes wide. Take care of them? You can't possibly mean... What? It's like, it makes him look sad. I'm just like... It's like a slight gentleness in his expression. It's interesting. I take the butter knife and mime drawing it across my throat.
What? Honestly, same. No, that I don't think that's in his skill set. I would think maybe that's closer to Lillian's, but like also not hers. No, that would be ridiculous. What's wrong with you?
I feel embarrassed that my mind went to such a drastic solution so quickly. What am I, a femme fatale? We just need something to knock that nurse long enough to escape. Maybe we drug her. Laudanum? Laudanum? A highly concentrated tincture derived from the opium poppy that was used to treat a variety of conditions. It has similar side effects as morphine, including sedation. Good thinking. A spoonful of something like that is in an unsuspecting nurse's glass of water, and boom, lights out. It seems like these spa hotels all have the medical staff on site. Perfect. If there are doctors, there will be medicine. So we find where they keep the medicine and take what we need. He grins at me, and I can't help but smile back. It feels good when we are like this, aligned. For a moment, I forget that I'm still annoyed with him. All right, we have a plan then. And we are back on track. Emil seems satisfied too, but his smile wavers after a few more sips of his coffee. So, last night, I cringe inwardly. This is the moment I've been dreading. What about it? I thought we had a good time.
I think you guys did have a good time.
We did? Emil knits his brow. He must be worried that I might take this all too seriously, that I might have feelings.
You were making assumptions. Okay. You're making assumptions and you're trying to protect yourself. Totally get it, but it hurts me to see you two like this. Maybe this is the way it's supposed to go in the story. Who knows?
Lucky for him, I made up my mind not to. We had our fun, but that's all it was, just a bit of fun, right? Right, fun. Then we are on the same page. That wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be.
He looks like he has something more to say, though.
With a sigh of relief, I return to my breakfast. I pick around the salami, still scarred from last night's catastrophe of a dinner. I continue to offer this and that to Emil, but he seems distracted. Is something bothering you? No. Come on, out with it. He hesitates, then his eyes flick down to my plate.
Oh.
I don't think I've ever seen someone eat so délicatement.
Mom, I can't say the last part.
Is that all? I didn't realize my eating habits would be distracting. You're simply witnessing years of etiquette training at work. At finishing school, Madame Auvray tied a knife and fork to my hands until I could eat without scraping them against the china. Took a while. I got really skinny that summer. Why would your parents send you somewhere that would do that to you? He asked with true concern.
It catches me off guard. That's what this is. Concern.
I finished the bit of egg I was working on, swallowing awkwardly before I can think of a reply. It's just what you do. I don't know. I can't explain it. It sounds cruel. Yeah, well, if you're done watching me eat, why don't we head out? I signal for the waiter and pay our bill. Emil sits back, fully occupied by his own thoughts. I watch smoke escape from between his lips in a skillful dancing wisp. He then tips his head back and closes his eyes for a moment, his sharp jawline cutting the air. Would he get away with so much if he weren't so undeniably handsome? I'd have to be blind not to notice.
Same.
I can acknowledge that. It doesn't mean that I have feelings for him.
Okay, we'll see.
Having finished the last drag, he puts the stub of the cigarette out and we leave. cool spring air braces as we exit the Hotel Lowen, though I find myself wishing it wasn't so bright out. I feel all the more exposed for lack of a hat, mine having been lost at some point during our misadventure last night. We make a point of walking the shade where possible as we navigate the streets of Lorac. It still feels like something is bothering Emile, though I'd rather he be pensive than return to the mood he was in when he first woke up.
How much do you want to bet that is about her saying this, like, it's just for funsies? I feel like we made assumptions, Lillian, to protect, to protect your heart, and I understand that. But oof. We'll see.
I press him about it again, but he waves it off as an effect from last night. Before I know it, we have reached the Waldkater. I don't know how to say it. Waldkater? Once in the lobby, Emile starts looking around. I think it will be easier to walk around if we can blend in with the staff, so... First stop is the laundry room. Where do you think that is? As I stop to ponder this question, a maid enters the lobby. I bet she knows. Then, let's follow her. She passes through an unmarked swinging door. That probably goes to a service quarter. Come on. He reaches for me, but stops short. Was he about to take my hand? He turns and heads for the door before I can question him.
Maybe this is kitchen. I don't know what these are. Wash something. Maybe the laundry room's that way.
Continuing to follow the maid, we're led into a service hallway. Emile moves quickly but quietly, sticking close to the wall. It's impressive how much stealth he's able to employ. He even uses a pocket mirror to spy around corners. Since he obviously knows what he's doing, I follow his lead. We check each door, certain that one will be the laundry. A kitchen, a boiler room, a supply closet. Later, we find it. Emile motions with his hand to lower as he crouches down. I ready myself to move with him, placing a hand on his shoulder, but he tenses, freezing in place. What? I whisper, trying hard to not let my voice carry. Then, the look he sends me in response makes his discomfort very clear. I suddenly feel like I shouldn't have touched him. I shrink back. No, it's okay.
You're fine. Oh no. Emile's the one who's caught definitely, he was legit last night, you know? Okay, this is gonna be interesting how this plays out.
It doesn't feel fine at all.
We're fine. Everything is fine. Let's just go.
He rolls his shoulders to reset himself. Resuming our caper, we duck into the room, sneaking past a laundress with her back turned to us. He pulls me behind a large laundry cart, big enough to hide both of us if we were sitting. As I glance around, I see plenty of stacks of folded sheets and clean bedding. My eyes start scanning the shelves in the room. What doesn't look like bed sheets? Finally, my eyes land on something gray. It's a stack of dresses, perhaps part of a nursing uniform. Sure enough, I find some long white aprons nearby and a few nurses' caps. Next to that are sets of white pants and shirts. I grab a pair for Emile and dash back towards the cart. With our disguises in hand, we slip back into the hallway. Our victory is cut short by a clamor, a gaggle of maids emerging from the kitchen. Emile grabs my arm and yanks me into one of the supply closets we discovered earlier.
Okay, there's music. Okay, of course we're in a supply closet.
Once safely inside, I whisper as quietly as I can. What now?
Here's good. Let's change.
It's so cramped though.
Just be quick then.
I start unbuttoning. Emile immediately spins away towards the wall. What are you doing?
Turning around.
Why? He's not the shy type, and it's not as though he hasn't seen my corset before. Nevertheless, he maneuvers his back to me, preserving my modesty. Not wanting it to be one-sided, I turn away from him too. I undo what buttons and hooks I can, but I am unfortunately in a dress that I'll need to remove by pulling it over my head. In this confined space, completing this operation is easier said than done. Of course. I try bending over to get to the hem, but keep knocking over bottles and awkwardly backing into Emil. What the hell is going on over there? I'm trying to take off this dress. Must you wiggle so? I'm not wiggling. Just ignore me. Huh. Finally getting hold of the fabric, I pull it up, but as I lift the bulk over my head, something gets tangled up and the dress ends up getting stuck on my shoulders. I fight with it, but only manage to bruise myself against the shelving. Why did you wear such a difficult thing? I didn't know a quick change would be required today. Help me? He lets out a defeated sigh before lifting the rest of the dress off of my head. When I turn to face him, his face is scrunched like he's trying to keep from laughing. I'm sure my hair is standing at peculiar angles. Thank you for helping me Houdini out of that thing. Harry Houdini was a vaudeville performer and magician famed for his daring escape acts. I couldn't trouble you to fix my hair now, could I? His hand hesitates, hovering for a moment above my head. I almost hold my breath as his fingers land lightly and start gently combing my hair back into place. The sensation is strangely intimate, and I feel myself blush slightly. Casting my eyes down, I mumble a small thank you. That's when I notice Emil is already fully dressed in his orderly's uniform. Medical attendants responsible for transporting patients, preparing patients for surgery, and performing other support functions. Due to the feminization of the nursing profession during the Victorian era, there were very few male nurses by World War I. Most male nurses were titled as orderlies despite the overlap in the work performed. That looks good on you. Emil gives an awkward cough and turns away again. Just finish up. I hurriedly put the rest of my disguise together, the gray dress, the apron, and a little starched cap. I tap him on the shoulder to let him know that I'm ready.
Like, they're cute matching outfits.
Nurse Sinclair, reporting for duty. I try to lighten the atmosphere, but Emil seems to ignore it. Alright, so where to now? Some kind of medicine closet? We will know when we see it, I'm sure. I lead the way back into the hall. Dressed as staff, we have no problem moving about the back rooms freely, but it is still best not to dally or let anyone get a good look at us. This hotel is not so large, so anyone who does work here might recognize us as strangers. As we roam, though, I can't help but wonder what is bothering Emil. He's been off all morning. Maybe the tension is getting to him. I smile at him, but he doesn't meet my eyes. I bump him playfully with my shoulder. What? Are you feeling okay? Yes. Why? Well, I am a nurse, so if you need it, I don't know, a medical opinion? You are not a nurse, you are only dressed like one. That's mean. You don't think I look the part? No, I guess you do. Maybe I need to do more nurse things. Like, let me take your temperature.
She wouldn't have said like, but that's what I said.
I reach my hand up to his face, but he jerks back. What are you doing? Checking your temperature, like a nurse would. I reach up again, pressing my palm against his forehead and look at him blushing, then his cheek. Heat emanates from his skin. I was only kidding around, but you actually do look a little flushed. I laugh as he bats my hand away. Stop it, Lillian. His reaction just makes me want to keep teasing him. Should I take your pulse? I slide my palm down to his chest, pressing through the fabric to feel his heartbeat. He seizes my wrist. Stop. The look in his eye is deadly serious. Though his voice is quiet, it still feels like I'm being scolded. Don't play games like this. Games? I'm just trying to keep things light. It's not like anything that I'm doing should be bothering him. He drops my hand and continues ahead of me down the hall. Let's keep going.
Okay, so definitely right. Emil totally wasn't like legit about his feelings towards Lillian, and Lillian totally turn that away, which is like fine, valid if that was like what's happening. But she also likes him. She's just protecting herself. So we're gonna see how this goes for the mission, particularly.
We don't speak again as we continue our wanderings through the whitewashed corridors. It's a while before I spot a sign with a word I recognize. Oh, apothec. It's pointing to the right. That is probably what we are looking for. Venturing further down the hall, we locate a door with a frosted glass window. Is this it? I think so, according to the sign. I can't see through it, though. I try turning the knob, but it holds fast. Locked. Not a problem. You stand guard. Emil pulls out a small pouch that he unrolls to reveal a series of bent hooks and pins. Examining the lock, he selects 2 of the pins and slides them into the keyhole. That's a full set of lockpicks. Yesterday, I thought, perhaps naively, that he might have been some kind of artist, but only a burglar would have a kit like this. So, he's a criminal. The thought gives me pause. Margot did mention that Emil and I had very different backgrounds. I didn't think she meant this different. His cagey responses to my questions on the train start to make sense. He was hiding. Perhaps he thought I'd look down on him. I wouldn't. I don't know what his circumstances were. If he doesn't want to share that with me, I won't press him. In any case, picking locks and forging documents are useful skills for a spy. I pull my attention away from Emil to try and focus on our surroundings. I don't want to be caught breaking in, so I better be on the lookout for anyone approaching. We are having incredible luck that no one has stopped or questioned us so far. There's a click, and the door opens. After you. We duck inside the room and close the door behind us. The walls here are lined with shelves stocked with pills, tinctures, and remedies, some familiar and some strange. I locate laudanum, but it's in a large jug, much too big to carry. I barely manage to pull it from the shelf on my own. Emil, do you see any small empty bottles lying around? After a few minutes of searching, we find some vials suitable for the task. I fill the vials from the supply and go to replace the jug to its rightful shelf. Just as I do this, I hear the sound of a jiggling doorknob. Someone's coming, and we have no time to hide. I turn to Emil in panic.
I knew this was gonna happen. I was like, well, y'all better start pretending that you're making out or something.
Without any time to protest, he pushes me against the wall, the tinctures above us clinking with impact. His hands skate over my hips to my backside, gripping the flesh there and causing me to gasp. He buries his face in my neck, where I feel his lips graze the skin just above my collar. His warm breath hovers there, and I shiver. The door flings open. What is the meaning of this? A stout, red-faced woman in a nurse's uniform stands before us, shocked and disgusted. Emil pulls away from me, looking sheepish. She starts waving a fat finger in my face. Shame on you. Weren't you told when you first started that such behavior was unacceptable?
The nurse looks so done.
Go and pack you things, you hussy.
Oh, God.
And you. She wheels on Emil. Dr. Kraus will hear about this.
Ooh, scary.
With that, she ejects us from the room and slams the door behind us.
What just happened?
Well, I just got fired. And you will be giving a stern talking to from Dr. Kraus later.
Right. There's an uncomfortable silence.
Just so you know, I only grabbed you to hide what we were actually doing.
He looks so like... Y'all, the miscommunication trope, this is kind of funny. It's fine, they'll be okay. I feel bad though, to be honest. I wouldn't wish this on anyone actually, but here we are. Makes for good, entertainment and story,
Oh, yes, I figured. Emil's attempt to acknowledge the awkwardness does nothing to dissipate it. I didn't mean anything by it. No. Of course not. In truth, my heart is still pounding. I can't seem to shake the memory of his hands on me. There was such a rush of excitement and a flutter in my stomach. I try to glance over at Emil, but it's too hard to look him in the eyes now. There's a soft clink of glass as he pulls out 2 vials of clear liquid. You got the laudanum, then? Good. I take one of the vials from him, highly conscious of my fingers brushing his hand. He places the other in his pocket. Now we need to figure out which room is Mr. Denham's. The clerk at the front desk shouldn't be too suspicious of another staff member asking. I don't speak German, so I'll meet you back at the entrance to the service corridor. With that, he leaves. I don't want to linger here long, but I do need a moment to recollect myself. I know exactly what Emil was doing, and yet I wasn't sure why he was making such a big deal about me teasing him before, but maybe he is right. It could get confusing. Stirrings in the room behind me remind me that the angry nurse could come out at any moment. I'd rather not wait around for another scolding, so I scurry off to the main lobby. Luckily, the clerk on duty doesn't seem too busy. Excuse me. Dr. Kraus asked me to take this up to a patient, but I forgot to ask him which room they were staying in. No problem. Which guest? Her Denham. One moment. He pulls the guest book and runs his finger down the list until he locates the entry. Ah. Nummer 38, because I don't know what that is in German. Danke. That's it. I head back towards the service corridor where I find Emil waiting as promised. So, he's in room 38. Bravo. He gives me a crooked smile. For the first time, I notice that he has the smallest gap in his front teeth. I don't know how I missed it. I must have made him uncomfortable with my staring because his grin suddenly stops, replaced by a frown. Let's go get changed. Depending on how this next part goes, we may not have time to get our real clothes. Of course, things feel strange between us now, and neither of us seems to know how to fix it. We head back to the supply closet we used to change earlier. Stepping inside, the door closes behind us with a click. As before, it is crowded with barely any space between Emil and myself. He begins unbuttoning his shirt. Mesmerized by the movement of his fingers and the separation of fabric revealing his skin, I forget myself. But my gaze doesn't go unnoticed. Emil starts to turn away. I have the urge to stop him. I don't know exactly why. I just don't want his eyes to leave me. Reaching out, I place my hand on his shoulder, beckoning him back towards me. It's like what passed in the medicine closet awoke something in me. I know it's not the right time for this, but I don't care. I want his warmth, his body. I want him. Is this the right time, girl? You're right. Is this the right time? But whatever. When I place my hand on his chest, I'm surprised to feel his heart thumping against my palm. He wraps his fingers around mine and presses my hand harder into him. He guides me upwards, past his clavicle, his neck, his chin. My thumb rests on his bottom lip, and I gasp as he gives it a tiny bite. The well inside me threatens to overflow. I breathe his name. Emil. Damn, in the closet. Y'all are... Literally, somebody could be opening this closet door. He cuts me off with a kiss, his hands quickly moving to fumble with the buttons of his shirt. Once free of his shirt and the layer beneath, he turns his attention back to me, tearing the cap from my head. The hair I had loosely pinned back falls around my face. His fingers run through it, grabbing handfuls and tugging lightly. I reach for my collar, undoing the pin there as fast as I can. Soon the collar, the apron, even the dress are all discarded. I want him to feel me. I pluck his hands from my hair and force them downwards, over my chest, along my waist. He greedily grabs at whatever he can on the way, eliciting moans and sighs from me that I didn't know I was capable of. Y'all in this closet. Not the zoom out. Okay. Without any cotton or linen barriers in the way, he has access to the barest parts of me. Through my silk chemise, I feel his touch on my breast, my thigh, my backside. Are we on the door? Like, my head's tilted. I mean, like, where are we? We're on a shelving. Oh, here. Glass bottles of cleaner rattle as we bump into the shelving around us, but I barely hear the sound. I'm too preoccupied with the feel of hands, lips, teeth, and tongues. Working his way between my thighs, he shifts the fabric of my chemise out of the way so his fingers can touch me directly. As he strokes me, shifting his fingers around in small circular motions, something deep within me twinges. My breath starts to escape in little gasps. In response, Emil quickens the movement of his fingers. I have an impulse to move his head away, but as I reach down, he catches my wrist with his free hand and pins it over my head. Am I allowed to post this on YouTube? I don't think so. I might have to just cut this. Who knows? I search for something to grab hold of, knocking things over the shelves behind me and scratching at Emil in turn. But he doesn't relent. He continues pushing me towards the brink. Well, it's like, it's not like overly explicit. Who knows? Just as I think I might not be able to take anymore, his fingers shift down slightly, feeling where I've become slick. He pulls his hand away from between my legs. His hand trailing on my thigh sends a shiver through me. Emil starts to unbutton his trousers and reaches down to take hold of... Oh. I was just like, I don't think you guys are going to get away with being in this closet. The doorknob rattled. What if it's the same nurse from earlier? That'd be hilarious. The doorknob rattles, and suddenly we are bathed in the light from the hallway. Shit. A maid stands frozen, staring at us with wide eyes. Minutes seem to pass as we gawk at one another, no one daring to move a muscle for fear of having to face the consequences of this strange tableau. Seth? Emil looks at me, bewildered. I scan the shelves above his head and spot a small stack of soap bars wrapped in paper. She's like, that's your business. I gotta do my job, though. Using Emil's shoulder for support, I gingerly lift myself up to grab one. Wordlessly, I hand the soap to the maid, who accepts it with a timid nod. She's like, whatever you need, girl. That's kind of hilarious. She's like, who am I to get in the way of all this? The door quietly clicks shut. I let go of the breath I've been holding, which flutters the top of Emil's hair, and then I realize we are knotted up in what now seems like some sort of inelegant pretzel. Lillian. I lower myself back down, slowly shaking off my daze. Emil puts a hand on my face, trying to guide my attention back to him. As my eyes meet his, I see not just the anticipation I would expect, but something else. Something earnest. Something more serious than I was prepared for. A wriggling worm of feeling begins in my core. We can't do this. It's the only thing I can think to say, but luckily it's true. We are now out of time. He nods at this, too fast, like he's overcompensating for a private thought. Right. We should move. We grab for our clothes and start the process of redressing. That maid could come back any moment. She might have told someone what she just saw. I start pulling the fabric of my dress over my head. It's only by sheer luck that the maid hasn't raised an alarm. If we make it out with Herbert Denham now, it is stamped with another barely. Even worse, we probably wouldn't have been caught, had we just gone and changed and focused on the mission objective. There's always a chance of things going awry, of something not going your way, but this wasn't bad luck. We were asking to fail by wasting time in this closet. A shameful feeling burns in my chest. I made up my mind at breakfast not to get involved with this man. We agreed. Last night meant nothing. It's barely been an hour since then, and we are pawing at each other like animals. Do I really possess so little self-control? I mean, I would probably agree that you shouldn't do that on the job, but like, Emil's into you, girl. Like, actually into you. Like, legit. It feels like it, at least. So, we're gonna have to address that later. I barely finished with my final button before I'm bursting from the closet, desperate to get away from Emil. Denham is waiting. Yes, I know. Lillian, hang on. Emil trails behind me as I dash towards the stairwell. I'm 3 steps up before Emil catches my shoulder and turns me to face him. I shrink from his touch. His eyes widen with surprise. Lillian? I look away, unable to meet his gaze. What just happened in that closet was intense and unexpected. I feel my cheeks blaze, the memory of it. Him touching me like he did makes me want to turn inside out. Exciting yet mortifying. I clench my fists. No, I can't try and decode my feelings. Not now. Later. He lets out a puff of air and releases my shoulder. Okay. I give an affirmative nod, then zip up the stairs, Emil trotting closely behind me. Will they get it later, though? We'll see. Here we go. I rap my knuckles on the door. No one answers, but we can hear the sound of muffled voices coming from the inside. I knock a second time. After a moment, the door opens just wide enough for the occupant to look out. It is a stern-looking, red-faced woman in a gray dress and white apron, the very same nurse who caught us in the dispensary earlier. She starts talking before she's had a good look at us. What do you want? Wait. Her eyes widen with recognition. A voice calls from inside the room. Who was at the door, Helga? What is the meaning of this? You were told to pack your things. Consider any references revoked. She starts to shut the door on us, but I ram my shoulder into the half-open door, forcing my way in. Ooh. Following my lead, Emil tackles the nurse, knocking her to the floor. Ooh. He does his best to restrain her and cover her mouth to prevent her from crying out. I close the door as quietly as I can, given the circumstances, then go to assist Emil. Quick! Lillian, quick, go. I kneel down beside the two of them, pulling the vial of laudanum from my pocket and uncorking it. The nurse squirms, her eyes bulging with strain, but she cannot wrest herself from Emil's grasp. I pinch her nose with one hand. Her face grows redder. Emil starts to slip his hand away. She bites down on it as hard as she can. He growls in pain. Through the gap in her teeth, I pour the entire vial, then try to cover her mouth. She coughs, choking down the drug against her will. I have no idea how much actually made it down her throat, but after a few minutes, the power behind her thrashing resistance lessens. Her eyelids begin fluttering, and her muffled screams become soft groans. Ooh, they're like, damn, it was the nurse. We were gonna see the nurse again. She goes limp, her heavy body sagging as she lapses into involuntary sleep. Panting, Emil rose off of her chest and cradles his pit in hand. What in the Sam Hill did I just watch? I was like, that sounds so American. American slang mean hell or the devil. Herbert. I look up to see a man standing on the far side of the room, brandishing a crutch at us. He's pale with limp hair, and there's a feverish sweat glistening on his forehead. Herbert Denham. I sure hope you all aren't working for the Krauts. Oh. I should not have said that. I should not be... An ethnic slur for the Germans that came into use during World War I. It is root in sauerkraut, a traditional dish from Central Europe, made of fermented cabbage. I do love fermented cabbage. But good to know, I did not know that. The Dizium Bureau sent us. We're here to get you out. The strength seems to leave Denham's legs, and he falls back into the armchair behind him. I was wondering when you all would find me. When the doctor at Hotel Luen insisted on transferring me to the hotel of his colleague here, or care of his colleague here, I was worried you might not find me at all. Why were you transferred? I can't be sure if the Germans thought they'd have an easier time keeping an eye on me here, or if they were just trying to hide me because they suspected someone might be coming for me. But I'm certain that Dr. Luen was bribed. Nurse Helga there was definitely in their pocket. He gestures to the unconscious woman on the floor. What did you give her, anyway? Laudanum. Denham winces. That was quite a lot you made her take. Emil gives me a sideways glance. I'm not sure how much she actually swallowed. I thought you were kidding when you suggested offing someone earlier. What? I wasn't trying to kill her. Then you probably should not have given her the whole vial. The blood drains from my face and panic starts to bubble up inside of me. How much was I supposed to give her? I think it's typically administered in drops, not bottlefuls. Oh my god. I run to the woman's side, not entirely sure what to do. I feel like I should touch her, maybe check to see if she's still breathing, but I'm too scared. My hands just sort of hover over the poor woman, unhelpfully. Did I kill her? Is she dead? We shouldn't wait around to find out. Monsieur Denham, how quickly can you pack? As fast as I need to, but if you can give me 50 minutes, I sure would appreciate it. Emil nods in agreement, leaving Herbert to his packing. He turns his attention back to me, but all I can do is stare helplessly at Helga laid out on the floor in front of us. What did I do, Emil? He crouches down, putting an arm around me. It will be okay. How? You did what you had to do. And like you said, you don't know how much she swallowed. She could be sleeping, very still, and barely listening to him. Sure. Emil looks around nervously, seemingly unsure of what to do with himself. Why don't we try moving her to the bed? I feel stuck until Emil moves to the other side and places her arms over his shoulders. Snapping to, I follow Sweet, and we drag her towards the bed. I can tell that Emil is doing most of the lifting. On Emil's count, we lift her and then drop her onto the bed, making the mattress coils creak as her weight settles. He retrieves the empty vial from the floor and places it in the unconscious nurse's hands. Then he places his full vial on the nightstand. What are you doing? If anyone finds her in bed, they will be able to draw their own conclusion. Maybe they will help her? Sure. I don't really believe him, but I'll take whatever reassurance I can. Emil sits on the edge of the bed next to the nurse. As tired as I am from dragging and lifting her, I can't bring myself to join Emil. I pace the room nervously. Herbert starts making conversation while he packs. I can't tell you how nice it is to hear another American accent around these parts, Mr. and Mrs. Twain. Twain? That's an interesting choice. I can tell Denham's comment irks Emil, but he lets it pass for the time being. You can just call me Lillian, and he's Emil. I think I saw you two in the lobby last night. Is that right? Yes? It shouldn't be surprising that a veteran spy like Denham would be aware of his surroundings, and we probably weren't as subtle as we thought while under the influence. Hopefully that wasn't too obvious, though. I tried changing the subject. Do you need help with anything? No, you just sit tight with your husband there. I'll be ready in half a jiffy. I'm confused for a moment till I realize that Denham is referring to Emil. Oh, right. Denham understandably gives me an odd look. Emil pats the space next to him, and I reluctantly join him on the bed. What is a jiffy? How do I explain that? It means a short amount of time. Huh, jiffy. He repeats the word of his, if trying it on for size. Jiffy. So, why are you being weird? He asks in French, so I respond in kind. What? Weird? Yes, weird. Do you not know the word? I might have just killed this woman, Emil. I'm allowed to be weird. No, you were being weird before that. You ran from me. Is that what he means by weird? Now it makes sense why he switched to French. He obviously doesn't want Denham to hear this conversation. What happened in the closet was overwhelming. Emil's brows shoot up, worry written over his face. Did I do something you didn't want me to do? Did I cross a line? No. I sigh and close my eyes. I just don't know what any of this means. He gives a wry chuckle. Bullshit. You weren't kissing me like someone who's confused. How do you even tell that sort of thing? I mutter that last part to myself. After a beat, he seems to deflate. Are you doing this on purpose? Doing what? This. Saying one thing, then doing another. You contradict yourself. You aren't trying to make a fool of me, are you? No. If my actions were incongruous, I hadn't intended them to be. Emil must not realize what happened in the closet, and even what happened last night had taken me by surprise. I thought this is what you wanted. That you didn't want anything beyond this mission.
Exactly. He looks shocked because I'm also shocked. He never said any of that. You made assumptions. Like, was he like having a piss poor attitude in the morning? Sure. I'm not saying that was right, but I don't think that had any actual bearing on like what he wanted with you. Oh my god, Lillian, please.
When did I ever say that? Well, you didn't say it in so many words, but for Christ's sake, I told you last night in bed. Last night? Does he mean what he said as he was falling asleep?
Oh my god, I forgot what he said. But it sounded sentimental because she was like, what?
All packed. We both started at this sudden interruption, having all but forgotten there was another person in the room. We sat there blinking dumbly at Herbert Denham, who was ready with a rucksack slung over his shoulder. So, let's get a move on. I don't see any luggage in your hand, so I'm guessing we'll make one more stop before heading to the station. Yes, we need to go back to the Loen. Let's try to exit out the back. It will be best if we are seen not leaving. Denham marches out of the room. It takes a moment for me to realize what Emil had been saying just moments before. I eye him hesitantly. Emil, you like me? In that way? Emil stares at me with apparent exasperation. Before he can form a retort, though, Denham is poking his head back into the room. Quit lollygagging.
I feel like I'm giving Denham a bit of a southern something. Not exactly southern something. It's just whatever my version of a southern something is. Don't know. I'm not that great at accents, guys. That are accents outside of my natural one.
Emil and I reluctantly follow Herbert into the hall. Denham hobbles ahead of us, and it becomes quickly apparent that he will have difficulty keeping pace. Emil takes Denham's rucksack from him, which helps, but it's still slow going. As I close the door to the back stair behind me, I catch a glimpse of someone at the other end of the hall. Wait, a gray uniform. That's a German soldier. He stalks down the hall, stopping at the door to room 38. What is it? A soldier knocking at the door to Mr. Denham's room. Shit. He's probably going to search the room if no one answers.
Oh, that was Herbert, but whatever.
We all know what that means. That soldier will find the nurse's body. The alarm will be raised, and our job will be that much harder for it. No sense in dilly-dallying here.
To waste time or dawdle. I love a good dilly-dallying. But not right now.
Let's get out of the building, then we can plan our next steps. We nod in agreement and head down the stairs as quickly as Herbert's limp will allow. The service exit puts us back into a back alley. We pause here to allow Denham to catch his breath. What now? At the very least, Monsieur Denham needs a false identity to pass through the checkpoint. We'll probably have an easier time passing through town if we can disguise him a bit. Denham chimes in between labored breaths. I've got a shaving kit in my bag. I've only got basic supplies with me, but I'll do my best to make your passport match. So, we just need to find somewhere to stop long enough for you to take care of those things. Maybe we should go directly to the station then. Abandon our luggage. Do you have your passport with you, Lillian? I do, but we'd be leaving a lot of evidence behind if we do that. My other passport, my real one, is tucked in my luggage. I'll be exposed. We should avoid that, if at all possible. If you went ahead to the Loen on your own, that would probably save us some time. You don't want me going aside anyway. They'll recognize me if I do. Okay, so I'll go ahead, pick up our luggage, and meet you at the station. Something doesn't sit right with Emil. I don't like the idea of splitting up. If something happens, we can't help each other. I'm not sure there is a better option. Do you remember where the public telephones are? We'll meet there at 2. That's in an hour and a half. Dedham levels the two of us with a serious look. If we aren't there by then, Mrs. Twain, you go on ahead, and we'll do the same. Understood? If something happens, I could be going back to Paris alone, or I could be left behind. Understood.
Oh, not the zoom in.
I bite my lip, unsure of what to do or say. I'm still reeling from the revelation that Emile does, in fact, have feelings for me.
Of course, they're like, wow, they're gonna do this and they're gonna split them up. Oh, God.
I haven't said anything back yet. How should I respond to his feelings? I need time to sort through it all, and time is the one thing I don't have. Should the worst come to pass, I might never see him again.
You should tell him.
Emile reaches out, but I step back.
Lillian, you're killing me.
I'm so afraid of saying or doing the wrong thing in this moment, afraid to look him in the eye. In the end, I only manage to look at my own 2 feet as I mumble a soft farewell. Goodbye, Emile.
Wow. And that's where I'm going to leave it for today, because it seems like this next part will be really intense in terms of story and things. I'm pretty sure I can leave the closet scene in, right? It wasn't like super explicit, and like also the illustration was like fine, so we'll be okay, I think. Ooh, who knows? If I have to change it, I guess I'll just have to change it at some point. But I just kind of read through that because I was like, oh my god, like what's happening? But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please press the like button, and if you'd like to see more of Love and Country and other visual novels I play on the channel, then please feel free to subscribe. That was a lot. I just like love that Lillian was just like, I'm gonna assume Emile wants nothing, even though he said something last night, and also he's not given me any reason to think that he wouldn't. But you know, it's the name of the game. I mean, not the name of this game, but you know, it's creating some intrigue and all that, so I guess it can be that interesting or whatever. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye!